sports.
High drive, center field, hit the wall, grand slam. This is magnificent.
Got a fantasy question? Email fantasybaseball@cbsi.com. Get ready to win your league.
Where fantasy becomes reality.
Now here's Frank, Scott, Chris, and Adam.
Who's ready to watch some dingers? Welcome into our Home Run Derby Q&A live stream extravaganza. Frank Stamfel here with Chris Towers, ready to watch Shohei Ohtani smash a 500-foot home run in about an hour from now, maybe an hour and a half. Chris, what is your favorite nickname for a home run? Do you have a go-to? Like if you're writing, you don't want to keep writing home run over and over again. Is it dinger, moonshot?
So I think that there are two different questions in this question. There is one, what is your favorite nickname for a home run? And then there's what is your favorite nickname that you would use while writing for CBSSports.com? And those are generally two different things because dong, ding dong, anything like that, the sillier the better is going to be my preference. But when I'm writing for CBSSports.com, I mean, it's the Tiffany network. We're serving a higher standard of customer. It's usually just home runs or homers. I don't try to get too fancy with it.
All right, so dong, double dong. We refer to that quite a bit on the podcast.
Love a ding dong.
Ding dong, very nice.
Love Travis Shaw, the mayor of Ding Dong City.
Awesome, love that.
Great one.
Moonshot, moon rocket. Big fan of anything with the moon. I don't know why, but I like it. It's fun. We're going to be here for the next hour, by the way, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Drop your fantasy questions in the chat. We will be answering them throughout the course of this stream. And, of course, Chris and I will square off in a home run derby draft later on. Plus, we have Sportsline's best bet for the home run derby from Matt Severance, who is Sportsline's top MLB expert. So if you're looking to throw a couple shekels down on this home run derby for who we think is the winner, we have that for you coming up a little bit later on. Let's start with answering some questions here, Chris. Start with Carl. Would anybody drop Brendan Rodgers for Jazz Chisholm in a head-to-head redraft points league or hold on to Rodgers? I feel like if he starts to hit in Coarse, it could be a game changer, but Jazz is tempting to grab. And I pointed out on today's podcast, last night's podcast that came out today, Jazz Chisholm has been coming around the past week or so. Brendan Rodgers, former top-ish prospect, has some upside. What do you think, Chris? Brendan Rodgers or Jazz in a point?
What I want to look at, because there's a lot of baseball teams, and you can't always keep track of every single team's lineup every single day. So I want to see one. Rodgers is playing pretty much every day, but not necessarily every single day. Was he hurt the last weekend before the All-Star game?
Yeah, he was dealing with some stomach pain, so he was out of the lineup on Saturday and Sunday, I think Friday as well. But for the most part, it looks like he started 2, 4, 6, 8 games in a row before that.
Yeah, and looks like he's been starting about 9 out of every 10 games, it looks like. The problem is at the highest he's hit in the lineup is 4th, and he's usually been between 5th, 6th, and 7th. Now, he is moving up, it seems, but that's the thing that I think in a points league can give Jazz an edge. What you're looking for in a points league is volume. You don't really care how you get it. You're looking for a higher volume of points, and Jazz is batting leadoff, and he seems pretty much locked in at the top of the Marlins lineup. So, that you're looking at, potentially a 8 to 10% increase in plate appearances over the number 5 hitter in a lineup. So that might be enough to probably swing it Jazz's way. But I think in a points league, Rodgers actually might have slightly higher upside just because he doesn't strike out quite as much.
So I would be tempted to just kind of play the matchups whenever Brendan Rodgers is at home. I don't know that anyone is going to add Jazz Chisholm if you leave him on the waiver wire. So
I think he will.
You think so? Someone's going to add Jazz?
I think so.
I think if he's still there now, like no one's like, he's probably just going to remain there.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's fair. If he's already out there. Yeah, that's a good point.
Coming out of the break, the Rockies play 5 home games and then a bunch of road games. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10-game road trip there for the Colorado Rockies. So maybe the first weekend or so, if you want to go with Brendan Rodgers. Over the past 28 days, Brendan Rodgers is averaging 2.3 fantasy points per game. Jazz is 2.1. In a vacuum, I think I would take Jazz, though. It's very close. This next one's from Luis. In a 12-team head-to-head points league, should I be looking to drop Eddie Rosario for Alex Kirilloff? Kirilloff's Baseball Savant page is red hot compared to Eddie Rosario's. Eddie Rosario currently on the IL with, I think is it an oblique? I feel like that's what it was. It's a right abdominal strain. So close enough. We don't really know when he's going to be back from that injury. What do you think, Chris?
I think that's fine. Eddie Rosario has been pretty disappointing this season. It's not like he's a superstar when things are going right anyway. Whereas Kirilloff, I mean, you mentioned the Baseball Savant page. Well, he's heating up 872 OPS since the start of July, and his Baseball Savant, his expected stats are even better. I mean, you're talking about 297 expected batting average, 567 expected slug. So if you put stock in those, and we do, those stats aren't predictive. They don't tell you what's going to happen in the future, but they can tell you that Kirilloff has been better than his results. So I would be fine dropping Rosario for Kirilloff.
Eddie Rosario currently at a 254 batting average with 7 home runs this year. Surprisingly, 9 steals. The guy's been running a ton. I think that is because of team context. Cleveland likes to let their guys run. And I think he has been one of the players affected most by the ball this season. His home run to fly ball ratio for Eddie Rosario, 7.7%. That's been up over 15% each of the past 2 seasons with a bouncier ball. So I think he's been someone that's been affected by that for sure. But I don't have an issue dropping Eddie Rosario for Alex Kirilloff in a points league. We're getting some home run derby predictions. Send those in the chat right now. Let us know who you think is going to win the home run derby. Why, the reason why, and also continue to send in your fantasy questions. Of course, smash the like button. Let's get to 100 likes by the end of this stream. Hit that thumbs up, not Chris's thumb like right there somewhere below. Like, I don't know. I think it's somewhere right there. But anyway, smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. You get a notification every time we go live. You also get a notification every time we drop a video. So earlier today, I did a first round MLB draft recap with the Walsh. So anyone who's in a dynasty league, or even if you're not, if you just play in redraft and you want to learn about some of these prospects, we do talk about the first 10 or so picks and then a few more after that as well. Right here, Kyle Smith, I got Salvador Perez tonight. Interesting. What else do we got here? Someone else, Alexander, Twitter handle, Pete Alonso prediction for the home run derby. Pete Alonso won the last home run derby that we saw back in 2019. Will Chris be drafting him or will I be drafting him?
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out like what should go into a home run derby pick besides just like Shohei Ohtani's the most fun player.
Oh, I did read an interesting article today from Eno Saris that had like some analytically based takes.
I was looking for that because I didn't click on it when I saw it on Twitter, and I was trying to remember who wrote it.
Don't read it, Chris. Don't look at it.
Okay, I won't.
Yeah. All right, this question is from Jeremiah. I have Acuna in a 2-keeper league. Should I try to trade him? And if so, what should I look for in a trade? I have Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, and Bo Bichette also. So I assume that this is a 2-keeper league where you don't get penalized for who you're keeping. So you could just keep the 2 best players on your team. And well, even with the injury, would you keep Ronald Acuna over either Soto or Ohtani heading into next year?
Definitely not over Soto. I still think Soto's a top 5 player. And I'm not sure I would keep Acuna over Ohtani or Bichette. Bichette might actually be the top pick between Ohtani and Acuna here, just because, I wrote about this a little bit, and I hate to say it, but like I feel like Ohtani's probably a sell high right now, just because there's always going to be so much injury risk in his profile, and I think he's probably not going to hit quite this well moving forward. And so I would think Bichette over Ohtani and Acuna right now for 2021. That's where my thought is, at least.
You can probably get some kind of value for him, I would imagine, but I don't think you're going to be able to get.
Well, I mean, like we said yesterday, we were talking about, we're not sure he's a top 2 rounder. Well, if that's the case, then he probably wouldn't be kept, or at least there's a chance he wouldn't be kept.
Sure.
Obviously there may be some team that doesn't have top 2 round players or caliber players, and you can target that. But it's a tough spot if you're only keeping 2 players, because Acuna is not necessarily a must keep there.
Yeah, I think I would look for a trade with anything that helps my team, right? Like if I have a deficiency at pitcher or just a specific position, if I can get someone who's like a viable player at any of those, if I need saves, anything like that, like if you're not going to keep Ronald Acuna anyway, and you can get something that's going to help you win this year, then why not? So I would just kind of shop him around to whatever I can get. I don't even know what that looks like. I mean, a top 10 to 12-ish player at a certain position, an infield position, maybe a top 30 outfielder, something like that.
I think the thing to keep in mind here is, because you probably wouldn't keep Acuna out of this group anyway, whatever you can get for him,
sure,
is going to help your team more than not trading him would.
And then just shop him around, right? And then compare what people offer you. So you have a couple of different things that you could choose from. And I think that's how I would handle it. This one's from Josh. Does Woba undervalue steals? I don't think Woba takes steals into account. Does it, Chris?
I don't think it does. I think Woba's just what a hitter does. Weighted runs created would take into account. Actually, I'm not sure.
I don't think Woba does. I'm pretty sure
I don't think so. Yeah.
I think it's only batter events.
I think so. Yeah.
I'll try to confirm that. I'll look that up a little bit. But yeah, I don't think that steals are accounted into Woba there. This one is from, let's see. This is kind of interesting, from Jason, from Professionals. I guess that's us, Chris. Can you go over your draft prep using Excel, importing StatCast and Fangraphs, stats you like to compare? How does one start rankings who's never done rankings? So this is kind of a loaded question. And if you wanted to do projections, you can do them from like the top down. You have to look at like team-based things and then kind of project at bats. And I think projecting playing time is probably the hardest thing to do, just because, especially this season, there's more injuries than ever before. Yeah. And I don't necessarily just have like a bunch of stats in an Excel sheet, although I will pull stuff from Fangraphs, specifically like ADP data, which they have a lot of ADP from the NFBC that they kind of use in conjunction with things there. So I will pull things from Fangraphs, but honestly, I have my rankings on the site. You can make a list anywhere, I guess, on an Excel sheet. And I just have a bunch of notes, right? So like I have a running document all off season with, I look at everything from plate discipline to StatCast data to splits. And I just kind of weigh that versus each player at the position. And that's how I do it. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I mean, the hardest thing for me, and this is true just in general when I'm making rankings, is I need to start from a master list, because I'll be honest, I don't have the attention to detail needed to make sure that all 300 players are who I want in that top 300. It's way too much. And so I usually start with, I'm usually starting my rankings after you and Scott do. So I'm usually like taking your rankings, doing a consensus, taking ADP data, taking, as many sources as I can get to make my master list, just to make sure like, here's everyone who needs to be here. And that's when I start tweaking. That's when I start looking at, obviously Fangraphs and Baseball Savant data is very important, although it's very important to remember when it comes to batted ball stuff. Like I said earlier, it's descriptive. It's not predictive. If a guy had a monster season way out of his career norms when it comes to his batted ball events, it could be him reaching a new level, but often he had a good season. And so, you have to weigh all of these factors, looking at, their most recent production. There's my cat's tail. She's decided that she needs to rub her face on a bunch of things, and I'm worried she's going to do it with the camera soon. So I'm just going to, she doesn't want to get off the desk. So there's a lot that goes into it, but that my process starts there. Starts with making sure that one, I've got a sense of where the crowds are, because there's a lot of knowledge in that, and just, a lot of smart people individually. You take what they all say, I think you can find some pretty good smart stuff there. And then you start tweaking based on your personal preference, which players you like, what factors you weigh. For me, I certainly weigh the most recent season less than either you or Scott do. I tend to regress more towards the mean, more towards a player's expected baseline. I tend to put less stock into small sample sizes than most people. So, that is all, whatever your individual recipe is, you're going to have your own secret sauce. But, I start with a kind of aggregation, I guess.
I think for next season, what I want to do is create my rankings completely unbiased. Like, don't look at anything yet. Don't look at any ADP, any rankings list, anything. I want to create my own rankings.
Yeah.
Then just see who I'm much higher or lower on based on ADP, and kind of just figure out, okay, these are players that I'm really going to be in on, or these are players that I'm going to be off of, or maybe okay, let's go back to the drawing board and see what other people are seeing in these players that I'm not. So I think I want to go that route. I've never done that before. Just like completely unbiased, make a list, each position, and then kind of play off of ADP after that. So I think that's something I'm going to try for next season. But I've been drafting since like October last year, and it was very interesting for me to see how ADP shifted throughout the course of draft season, because by the time we got to March, and this was a flaw of mine this year, there were players I didn't want to draft because I couldn't get them at the discount that I could have back in October and November. Yeah. And it's not really the right mindset to have. But I think, that was like something I noticed that was like a flaw of mine. So it's interesting when you're drafting that early, when like not many people are paying attention there to fantasy baseball. This one's from Alexander's channel. I'm in a 16-team head-to-head points league. Please grade the trade. I sent Freddie Peralta, concerned about the innings headed into the second half, and Mitch Haniger for Walker Buehler. Thank you. So Mitch Haniger has performed, I want to say, like a top 20-ish starting pitcher. He's ranked inside my top 25.
Freddie Peralta.
Top 20. Well, Mitch Haniger has performed like a top 20 fielder so far this season. He's ranked inside my top 25. Although you could say the same thing about Peralta, just from a starting pitcher perspective. And Walker Buehler is now ranked inside my top 10. I think this is a little bit too much in a 16-team league where depth matters a lot more. Chris, what do you think?
Mitch Haniger has been pretty not great for a while now, certainly since at least the start of June, if not a little earlier. He's got an OPS right around 720, I believe, since the start of June. So, that's not great. He's been showing signs of pulling out of it lately, and the batted ball data has been better. But you look at like Baseball Savant has these like rolling graphs of, last 50 plate appearances, last 100, last 250. And, the last 100 plate appearances, he's been slightly below average to just very slightly above average in expected WOBA over the last 100. And last 250, it's been just slightly above average. So I think he's probably going to be a slightly above average hitter. I think Freddie Peralta is a very good pitcher who's probably played over his head a little bit so far, and does have legitimate innings concerns. I haven't seen anything concrete from the Brewers about whether they want to, how they want to limit him, I guess. I don't know if it's a question of if or when there. So I think this is fine. Buehler he's a rock. He's one of now that he's going deep into games consistently, 16 out of 18, he's gone 6 innings, I think is the stat.
I think it's
17 out of 18.
There's only been one start. It's either 16 out of 17 or 17 out of 18.
That's amazing. Yes. And I think Buehler with that volume is the more valuable piece than Haniger and Peralta, especially 16 team. That's a little tougher.
Yeah. Look, if you have a formidable outfield replacement, there for Mitch Haniger, then I think it's fine. And I think you can make this trade. So it comes down to, your team. If you have an okay outfielder, then I would say this is probably a slight win. This is like a C+ or a B- for me. But again, if you're trying to shop Freddie Peralta, this is probably something you want to look into doing. Someone where I never thought, I didn't really think we would say this season, but Walker Buehler, I don't think we have any concerns over what his usage is going to be. I think it's kind of just who he is now. So he's averaging the 3rd most fantasy points per game. He's been awesome, behind only Jacob deGrom and Kevin Gausman. This one's from Bill Schmidt, 5x5 Roto League, keep 5. Traded Garrett Cole for Bryce Harper. Which side won?
The side getting Cole. I think Harper is still a 2nd-round pick for me, but I think Cole is still a little more valuable.
It sounds like Bill traded away Cole, so you would say that that's a loss.
Yeah, I think it's not a huge loss. I think it's like a more on the D+ side of C- probably, but it's not like it's gonna wreck your season. I do have Cole ranked higher.
This one's from Scott Wolf. How much of an upgrade over Corey Seager is Carlos Correa? I was offered Correa and Max Fried for Seager and Framber Valdez in a head-to-head categories OBP league. It seems like a wash. It seems like a very comparable trade. Fried and Valdez are very similar pitchers, get a lot of ground balls, rely on suppressing hard contact. Framber gets even more ground balls, but the control can be iffy for both of them at times. I think they're very similar pitchers. And then Correa has been great this year. You don't really know what you're going to get from Corey Seager. He's already had one setback coming back from a fractured hand. So this is close. I think I prefer the Correa and Fried side just because Correa is 100% healthy.
I think so. I like you said, Framber and Fried is a wash. I'm trying to think. I think I have Fried a couple spots higher, but it's like 34 versus 38 or something like that. So it's not a significant difference. I may be lower on both than you or Scott. And Correa is having the season we hoped he would. And in an OBP league, he's got a 385 OBP this season. He's playing really, really well. I think in a vacuum, Corey Seager's better, but Corey Seager might not play for the first 3 weeks of the second half. So already you're talking about losing, I don't know, a fourth, at least a third of the remaining games just off the bat. Yeah. I think the Correa side is much better.
I think if Seager hits his upside, which is what we saw last year, like that was pretty much his ultimate upside. It's higher than Carlos Correa. It's just, can you actually project that? My answer is probably not.
Or he might only do it in 50 games and Carlos Correa might do it in 70.
Yeah. Look, they're both free agents at the end of the season. I'm pretty sure Seager wants to come back and hit the ground running and have a nice little offensive output here over the final 2 months so that he's going to get a contract no matter what, but obviously he wants to help himself in free agency. So I'm sure that will be something that is on his mind. I prefer the Carlos Correa side by just a bit there. This was from Matt. Hi, guys. What do I do with Kevin Biggio?
He was hitting better. I haven't looked at it in like a week or so, but he was hitting better since coming back from the IL. I don't know what it's looked like lately. And, the overall numbers are still pretty grim. He's actually he's got a 307 WOBA, which is bad. And he's outperforming his expected WOBA. So that's pretty tough. It seems like exactly what we were worried about would happen with him has happened, which is that, the marginal changes in how far the ball flies have really impacted a guy who just doesn't hit the ball hard. He needs to, he's been bad lately as well. So it's turned back around. I think he's a below average hitter who I don't know why he's not running. That's the biggest concern. I think, is that he is actually legitimately fast, 84th percentile on sprint speed. He's got 3 stolen bases.
Sure does. It's not what you like to see. 3.
I don't know. I think he's droppable in any points league deeper than 12 teams or shallower than 12 teams or shallower. And even in a roto league, I think he's a fringe starter. The thing he has going for him is so much flexibility that it's just nice to have a guy like that around. But I think he's pretty bad. unfortunately.
and like it's nice to have exposure to the Blue Jays lineup just because it's awesome and you get a ton of volume because they're getting on base as frequently as they are. But yeah, he's slowed back down. His last 15 games, Kevin Biggio, 220 batting average, 0 homers, 9 RBI, 1 steal, 13 strikeouts in 15 games. It's just like, I think he's droppable. If if there's anything that excites you on the waiver wire, I'd be all right dropping
certainly
him.
Any points league, and I think I'd probably hold on to him a 12-team roto, but anything shallower than that.
Well, this is an interesting question. This one's from Jacob. Boys, who's your pick for the home run derby? Well, we'll get to that in a little bit, but this one's interesting. Over under 519.5-foot homer. And I saw that on William Hill as well. And this is, I looked into this a little bit. So Coarse Field obviously is at high altitude, ball travels well there, and they're not using baseballs from a humidor like they normally do for Rockies games. So these balls, they're going to fly. They're going to fly. The longest home run in Coarse Field history was hit 504 feet by Giancarlo Stanton back in 2016.
I remember that one.
The StatCast era record for a humidor-free environment was 513 feet by Aaron Judge in the home run derby in Marlins Park back in 2017. So 513 feet, humidor-free environment. That was enclosed. Now we're going to high altitude. I think I take the over there, Chris. I think someone's getting a 520.
Yeah, and there are a couple other things that Coarse Field has going for it. The ball doesn't slice as much. It travels truer in the thin air, which can make a difference of like 10 feet on a long enough home run. So it's not nothing. So I think I would probably take the under, but if you told me, hey, we found a couple hundred 2019 baseballs that we're going to throw out there that haven't been in the humidor either, we didn't rub them down with that mud, that weird Delaware River mud, so they don't have as much friction on them. Like, yeah, I think I'd probably take the over, but man, 519 feet's really far.
That is very far.
Like, I remember as a kid thinking like, oh man, 500-foot home runs, like, that's far, but they happen pretty regularly. And then now that we know actually how far balls are traveling, not just like the broadcast saying, wow, that was a 537-foot home run. It doesn't happen that often.
No, it really doesn't. Let's hit a few rapid fire questions here before we have our little derby draft, Chris. We will go to Kyle. Is David Fletcher a viable starting second baseman in a 14-team points league, or try to upgrade? I think he's fine. The guy's red hot. He's batting over 400 during his, I think it's now a 24-game hitting streak, 2 homers over the weekend, leading off for the Angels. Mike Trout is back soon. Lots of volume there. I have no problem with this. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, is he a viable starting second baseman in a 14-team points league? Yes. Or should you try to upgrade? Also, yes. I think he's exactly the kind of player who, if you've got him and you don't want to worry about that position, I think you probably won't have to. But if you could reasonably upgrade on him, that's also worth doing. I don't think he's a difference maker.
This one's from Matthew. Names to trade for to replace Ronald Acuna. I was thinking of Juan Soto. That would be fantastic if you could. Yeah. We all think Juan Soto is going to be better. I would throw Mookie Betts in that category too if you really want to play for some high upside there. The name I gave out on last night, today's podcast, was Teoscar Hernandez. I like the plate discipline, a little bit of power, a little bit of speed. I think if he hits his upside based on how hard he's hitting the ball right now in the middle of that Blue Jays lineup, we could be looking at serious numbers in the second half for Teoscar Hernandez. I know there were a few names you gave out on the podcast as well, Chris. Some injured guys like Byron Buxton. Anyone else?
Marte, Byron Buxton, Luis Robert. I think all those guys would be good because you can get them for really cheap. And you're just, the way I look at it is, okay, Byron Buxton might get hurt again, or Ketel Marte hasn't been able to stay healthy, but like, you're going to get nothing from Ronald Acuna. You know that. And chances are you're probably not going to compete for a championship if you don't have Ronald Acuna and you don't replace him with a difference maker. If you replace him with Andrew Benintendi or Brandon Nimmo, like, those guys are fine, but your team is significantly worse. So I think you need to take a big swing to try to get back into it. And I wrote about it for CBSSports.com this morning, on Monday morning. I think Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger are probably two of the best targets. Like, I am not confident at all that those two guys are going to be good fantasy options moving forward. I'm just not anymore. It's been such a rough season for both of them, and really going back to last season in both cases. But if you're going to win a championship, it's going to be because someone performs like a superstar to replace Ronald Acuna. And Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger have a much better chance of doing that than Alex Kirilloff. As much as I like Alex Kirilloff.
Yeah.
So
Yelich was exactly the name that I was thinking of while you were talking. So
get both of them.
Yeah. Try it.
Why not? Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger, because you can probably get them for dirt cheap. The people on their rosters are probably sick of them at this point. We've gotten questions about whether you should drop them. So, I mean, I think those are the highest upside players you could possibly find.
You have nothing to lose except for your league, which you probably would lose anyway without Ronald Acuna.
Exactly.
So why not just swing for the fences with one of those guys like Yelich or Cody Bellinger? We'll quickly add 2 more of these questions here, and then we'll do the draft. Hey, guys, rest of the season points redraft. Skubal, Gilbert, Trevor Rogers, Sandy Alcantara.
Ranking them, I would go Alcantara, Rogers. Skubal, Gilbert is difficult. I would go Skubal.
I would go Gilbert. I love what I've seen from the last 7 starts. I think he's just like much more of a refined pitcher than Skubal is, but Skubal probably has more higher upside. I agree with the first 2 though, Sandy and Rogers there. Last one here from El Duderino. Will Patrick Sandoval or John Gray be on an innings limit?
As far as I know, neither will.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't seen John Gray. I don't think there's any reason to think he would be.
And he was already on the IL, so
yeah, and he's nearly 30, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade him too. He's kind of interesting from that regard too, just to like have on your team in case he's traded away somewhere.
So Sandoval threw 119 innings in 2019. He made 28 starts, 30 appearances. 2018, he threw 122 innings. I think he's probably not really on an innings limit because he's only thrown 56 so far. You probably can't expect much more than about 70 or 80 more in a best case scenario. So, no, I think both of those guys are going to pitch through the end of the season, barring injury.
Yeah, I think if one of these guys is more likely to be on an innings limit, it's probably Sandoval, but I agree. I'm probably not worried about it there. All right, Chris, let's do it. Let's draft. The home run derby draft. What we're going to do is we're going to alternate some picks. We're going to pit our teams up against each other. Whoever has more home runs by the end of the home run derby. So obviously you need to pick people that you think are going to go deeper into the derby. What do you want to do with if your participant gets to the finals? Should you get like double the home runs?
That's what I think that's what we should do. I think everything before the finals is just one for one. If you get to the final round, that should probably count for extra.
Yeah, I agree.
It's harder.
Yeah.
It's harder to hit home runs when you get to the final anyway.
I agree with you.
I don't want to have one of these situations where like one of us drafts that year Justin Bour hit 22 home runs in the first round, and you just happen to have him. He lost in the first round, but he hits so many that you end up winning, even though you didn't make it to the finals with any of your guys. Come on, get out of here. Ridiculous.
Yeah. We are at 29 likes right now. Come on now. We're about halfway into the stream. 100 likes. Let's get to 100 likes by the end of this stream. We are going to continue answering your questions after we do the home run derby draft. Let us know who you think is going to win the home run derby as well. And make sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Baseball Today YouTube channel. All right, Chris, I am going to flip a coin on Siri, and you're going to call it in air. What do you want?
I don't trust this Siri person as far as I can throw her, but I will take tails because tails famously never fails.
Flip a coin. All right, Chris, that's what you get there. Head. I don't want the first pick though. Can I choose what pick I want?
No. You get the first pick and you'll like it.
All right, so I'm going to take the first pick. I guess you get 2 picks after that. I get 2 picks after that. I am taking Joey Gallo because I'm wearing the Rangers hat, and I think he's going to win the entire thing.
You're falling in love with Joey Gallo.
I'm falling right in love with Joey Gallo. You have 2 picks, Chris.
Oh, it feels like a sucker's bet, but Shohei Ohtani. that guy's good.
He's pretty good. I do wonder if he's maybe not going to go as hard. He's starting the All-Star game as a pitcher tomorrow and off.
The thing that I'm actually in my head about, and I know this is totally unfair, is that Yankees start where he like just completely fell apart. And I'm like, oh no, what if he gets in his head? What if there's like so much pressure on him to be the face of baseball and like it just, but like he swings so easy.
It's so pure.
And he's so fit. And like if one guy's not gonna like be like struggle with the routine of trying to swing that many times, it's the guy who's both a hitter and a pitcher, right? I'll go with Shohei Ohtani, even though he hasn't taken on-field batting practice all year. This is the first time he will be swinging on the field outside of a game context. So feels like a sucker's bet. He's the favorite, but I can't pass him up.
All right, Chris, you have another pick. Who are you going with?
This one's especially tough. There are two guys I really want, and I'm going to go with Pete Alonso and just hope you don't take the guy I want with your next two picks, but you're definitely going to. So I'll take Pete Alonso. He's been there before. You know, you want experience in this kind of event.
So do I get two picks now, or do we just go 1-1-1-1 after that? After you had two picks?
I mean, I would prefer if you didn't get two picks in a row, but I'm not going to, you know, we probably should have figured that out beforehand.
All right. So yeah, I get two picks. We'll
snake it the whole way through. That's fine.
I am going to take Matt Olson.
Yeah, that was the other guy.
The other one that I'm going to take is, well, I'm not going to take someone that's going against one of my. I'll take Salvador Perez.
That's a good thought.
That's why I thought that you were going to take Matt Olson because he's on the other side of the bracket, Chris.
Yeah, that's smart.
You have Ohtani and Alonso going up against each other.
Yeah.
You kind of limit your chances at making it to the finals. But I did the same thing. So,
all right. So that's a good art, man. Juan Soto just with a tough draw.
Seriously, right? Like Juan Soto against Ohtani, it's messed up.
Like I don't want three guys on the same side of the bracket, but I don't want you to just have Juan Soto.
Why don't you take the hometown kid? I mean, he's got a puncher's chance.
I'm gonna go with Trey Mancini and Juan Soto.
All right. I'm perfectly fine having Trevor Story on my.
I think that's a pretty good guy to have.
Yes. All right. So I have Joey Gallo, Trevor Story, Matt Olson. I have three guys on one side. The only one I have on the other side of the bracket is Salvador Perez, who I don't really have the most confidence in this type of tournament, but I guess we'll see what happens.
That guy has caught like 89 games this year. So like you talk about endurance.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's built like a bull, Salvador Perez. Chris has Shohei Ohtani, he has Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, and Trey Mancini.
I think you're definitely going to win this.
All right. Well,
you have a much better chance of ending up with two guys in the finals.
What are we wagering? What does the winner get?
Oh man, I hadn't thought about that.
Gentleman's bet, 6-pack of beer.
Yeah, I think a pack, a 6 or 4 pack of like a good local beer.
Leinenkugels. Duh.
Or Leinenkugels.
Yeah. All right, so we'll do it for a 6-pack. Who do you think is going to win, me or Chris? Let us know in the comments. Leave us in the chat. Let us know.
I think you did the game theory much better than I did. I'm really kicking myself over this.
I put some serious thought into this.
I didn't. I did not. The Ohtani Soto thing. Just like what the hell are you doing, Chris? You're an idiot. Like you get one round guaranteed from one of those guys. So I gotta hope that it's a Judge Bohr situation and they combine for like 45. Idiot.
It's not impossible.
Just a dummy.
We will
Dumbest boy in the world.
We will let you know in just a little bit. Sportsline has their best bet from Matt Severance, Sportsline's top MLB expert. We will let you know who his best bet is coming up in, I don't know, we'll give it to you in like 10 minutes from now. Let's go back to answering some of your questions. Thank you so much for smashing that like. All right, we're all the way up to 58 likes. I like that. Let's get it up to 100. Let's do it. All right, who do we got here?
42 is an important number. Frank,
Sure
you might be too young to know this one. Little Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? No?
No. What is
The
that?
answer. It's the answer.
Oh, I thought it was Mariano Rivera's number on his jersey.
Well, Jackie Robinson.
Well,
Right.
duh. Yeah, of course. All right.
No, it's the answer to the question.
What
The
question?
life, universe, and everything.
42. That's the answer.
Yes, it's you should watch the movie. The movie's not as good as the book, but it's still delightful. It's very fun.
All right, let's answer some questions. This one's from Tyler McLaughlin. What's your strategy for managing bench spots between hitters and pitchers? How many extra hitters do you hold for days where your regular starters sit versus stacking more starting pitchers or relief pitchers? So I think this changes based on like a weekly league versus a head-to-head.
Yes.
Like a daily lineup league.
Yeah, and it also depends on like whether you have usable guys who are multi-eligible, because that makes it a lot easier to in a day. I mean, I think it only really matters in a daily league for hitters. For pitchers, I think you generally like 4 pitchers, 2 hitters is I think probably close to the ideal, but I'm willing to go 5 pitchers, 1 hitter at times. Just because pitchers are so much more difficult to trust and you want as many bites at the apple as you can get. There's a lot of leagues where I just feel great about my starting lineup in terms of my hitters, and I don't even really think about my backups. So I think generally speaking, I want more pitchers than hitters, and that's true whether it's a daily or a weekly lineup lock. But, if it's daily, then 4-2 does, because hitters, 4 of the 5 categories are counting stats. And I think that's where, you want as many guys in the lineup as possible.
I play in one daily lineup league where I have 3 pitchers on the bench and 2 hitters.
Sure.
So I think it's kind of similar to what you were talking about. This one is from John. Soto with the first round upset, then continues the streak with wins over Alonso and Gallo to take home the title. That'd be nice for you, Chris. You could pull that off.
I mean, that would work. Yeah. Alonso makes it to the second round. I mean, if Salvador Perez wins in the first round, I'm done. The game's over. So as long as it's Alonso versus someone in the second round, I got a chance.
You got a chance. This one's from Freddie. Hi, Frank, Chris. Charlie Blackmon, Brendan Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, Ryan McMahon dropped 2 head-to-head category league rest of season. Worry about Charlie Blackmon and Jeff McNeil's situation. What's wrong with their situations?
Blackmon, because of his age, I could see him being traded. Although, the thing with the Rockies is that it would make sense for them to trade a lot of guys, and the Rockies generally can't be counted on to do things that make sense.
Sure.
Hold on, my cat is sitting on my keyboard. Come on, Bowie. It's a professional operation here. Grow up. I think I would drop Nimmo and McMahon.
I was leaning the same exact way. All right. This one's from Joseph. Man, this is my first time watching the podcast on YouTube. And what happened to the beautiful head of hair Chris used to have?
The thing was, it was never a great. It's been a while since I had a gray head of hair. And the start of quarantine, I saw a picture of myself from like this angle, and like this thing was happening. I'm gonna have like an island at some point where it's just these 2 widows. These things just form a widow's like archipelago or whatever, however you pronounce that. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna have to do this at some point. Let's see what it looks like. And it looks like Wooly Willy.
I like it. I prefer my Chris Towers bald. I'm all about it.
Bald with a beard's a good look. It works.
It's very good. This one's from Dave. Tony Gonsolin or Chris Paddock rest of season? Oh.
Honestly, I think it's Gonsolin.
Yeah, I think so too. Gonsolin is not giving you volume. He only went 4 innings for the weekend, but he did look better. I think he had 6 or 7 strikeouts there. What does David Bowie think?
She's a mess.
I think we're both on Gonsolin here, right, Chris?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got here. From Kyle, most potential upside for the rest of the season in a points league: Chris Sale, Carlos Carrasco, and Luis Severino.
It's Chris Sale. I don't think there's any question about it.
If he comes back healthy,
right now he's the most likely to be back first, or at least starting first.
Carrasco is
he might be pitching out of the bullpen.
starting rehab. He's going like one inning, I think, tomorrow for like the Brooklyn Cyclones or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting there. But yeah, I think it's Chris Sale. This one's from Matthew. Second half players to target now. Well, funny you asked that, Matthew, because we have a roundtable panel discussion article coming out at some point this week that our buddy Dan Schneier, who's one of the fantasy editors here, he puts together every week. He asked myself, Scott, and Chris a couple of questions. And one of the players I pointed out was Aaron Nola. And we talk about him a lot, Chris. And I think a lot like Bellinger and Yelich, not to the same level, not to that same extent, but I think Aaron Nola fantasy managers are kind of annoyed with him, and you could probably get him for much cheaper than he's actually worth. So I like Aaron Nola.
I think that's a good pick. Basically anybody who's been a significant disappointment so far this season, I think is a good opportunity to buy. You look at, obviously the breakout's already happened, but Joey Gallo 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe, was exactly that guy. He was, it was 18 games. His last 18 games, he has 13 home runs. He was someone who you felt pretty good was going to be better than he had been. So Nola, Giolito, less so someone like Paddock, just because I don't actually have a lot of confidence, but those kind of guys should be who you're targeting.
Again, if you want to swing for the fences, Yelich, Bellinger, you can buy these guys extremely, extremely low, but just beware. There's really nothing in the numbers that say that they're going to be much better outside of just
it's just a bet on talent.
Yes, the fact that they have shown that kind of upside in the past. This one's from Jeremiah. With Bo Bichette on my team, should I try to trade or hold Wander Franco? Look, if it's any kind of keeper or dynasty league, you have to hold him. You're not going to get anything close to fair value for Wander Franco. In a redraft league, I don't think you're going to get anything for him. You could try, but
yeah, here's the problem is, and then this is, if you have Bo Bichette and you had Wander Franco stash and you didn't need a middle infielder, you should have traded Wander Franco when he got called up. And you should strongly consider doing that when these top prospects get called up, because yes, they might live up to all our wildest fantasies and win you your fantasy league. But the most likely outcome for top prospects, even guys like Wander Franco and Jared Kelenic, is that they struggle. Major League Baseball is really hard. You look at the projections for any top prospect who gets called up, they're generally underwhelming. And that's because that's the most likely outcome. So, just as a future thing, if you've got someone like Bo Bichette and you have Wander Franco, try to trade Wander Franco when he gets called up.
Agreed. And that's something we told people to do. Well, look into at least as soon as he had that monster first game or whatever. Just poke around, see what you get for him. Yep. I'm making fun of Chris's hair here, and people don't ever really get to see what my hair looks like. And Kyle says, Frank, off with the hat, show off the locks. All right, let's do it.
That's it.
I got a whole lot of this. I don't know, man. This is kind of just, I don't know what I'm doing. I always decide to grow my hair out during the summer, and I don't really know.
It's the wrong time to grow your hair out, man.
Long. It's kind of like a moppy thing going on here.
He can't hear me.
Put it up in the man bun if I really want to. But
I could say whatever I wanted about him, and he would have no idea.
Kind of just got like this emo thing going on. What do you think, Chris?
What I was saying is that I could say whatever I wanted, and you would have no idea.
That is a fact.
And I definitely didn't.
Gosh. All right, well, now I'm going to have to go back and watch to see what you said. This one's from John. What top 50 position player and top 20 SP do you think will have the most regression in the second half? That is a good question. I'm looking at the players ranked in the top 50 right now in Roto categories leagues. And the one that I keep going back to, and he keeps making me look dumb, is Jared Walsh. He's currently the 27th best player in Roto leagues.
His underlying stats are solid, but they don't back up what he's doing.
As great as Cedric Mullins has been, I just wouldn't expect him to continue hitting 314. I think he leads the American League in hits. He's currently on pace for close to a 30-30 season. I would imagine he's going to slow down just based on obvious reasons, unless he's just this awesome. But
I'll tell you one guy whose ERA is probably going to double in the second half. Jacob deGrom.
Oh, I mean, Chris,
He's got a .54 whip. That's just dumb.
It's
Carlos Rodon. I don't know how long he can keep this up. I don't know how long he can stay healthy. He's an injury risk. He's been amazing, to be clear, but I do think there's been some good luck involved with that as well. He's only allowed 60 hits in 90 innings. I think you can also throw someone like Anthony Desclafani.
Was just looking at him.
And
Lance Lynn, he's got a 1.98 ERA. I get it. Lance Lynn is good. We
have
to stop doubting him, but my guess is he probably winds up with an ERA in the low threes. So if that's the case by the end of the season, he's probably going to pitch somewhere to like a high 3 ERA from this point out. So
yeah, and then like Trevor Rogers is probably at the height of his value, just because I would imagine there's going to be some point where they dial back his innings or start pulling the leash back. And he's like top 5 in FIP right now, so I can't say he's performing over his head necessarily, but I do think there is still some room for regression as well.
I will just throw out also Taijuan Walker has a 2.50 ERA. I don't expect that rest of season. Kyle Gibson, 2.29. I mean, these are some pretty obvious candidates and players that we talked about before, but I think they make sense to regress. All right, we've got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to give you that best bet. This is from Sportsline. Matt Severance, MLB Sportsline, a top expert. He is 146-4 in his last 150 MLB picks, returning over $4,100 for a $100 better. And he has Joey Gallo as the winner tonight, who currently has odds at plus 400 over at William Hill. So he has the second best odds to win behind only Shohei Ohtani, who is plus 240 to take home the home run derby tonight. All right, I
would say Trey Mancini. I mean, he's got the longest odds, so it's kind of easy to say, well, best bet, but I think he's got a better chance than people think. I'm going to throw that out there.
Boom, boom.
Trey Mancini, like a Josh Hamilton type story, pick a narrative.
Let's see what happens there. All right, let's try and hit as many of these questions as we possibly can. It's from Luis. I have Chris Flexen, Alex Cobb, and Chris Paddock, who I don't feel comfortable holding rest of season. I had Logan Gilbert in mind. Am I paying too much for him in a points league?
So you would give up Flexen, Cobb, and Paddock for Gilbert? I wouldn't do that. But I do think I like Gilbert probably more than the rest of those three.
I have him ranked the highest for sure. If it's a shallower league where you can just pick up a pitcher that's fine, I don't have a problem doing 3 for 1, but why would anyone even want those 3 pitchers anyway? It's just I like Logan Gilbert more than the rest of the names there. This one's from Rohandu 24. I am in a head-to-head points league daily lineup. I've been able to avoid a ton of injuries and I'm in first place. Should I look to shore that up even more by trading Bryce Harper?
So I do think there is, one way to look at building your team moving forward is if you're in first place, what you probably want to do is minimize risk moving forward. There's more ways for things to go wrong for you when you're in first place than there are for things to go right. That being said, I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in this. I think I was the only one who wanted to take him in the first 2 rounds in our most recent redraft. But I don't think Harper's all that risky. His track record is really, really strong. He had a good June. He had a good start to July. He's really only had 1 bad month when he was dealing with those injuries. So I think Harper's fine. I don't think there's any reason to view him as a risk.
This next one is from SH. Traded Framber Valdez for German Marquez. Good or bad trade?
I think I still have Framber ahead, but I
have him ranked significantly higher, but man, it's hard to argue with how German Marquez is pitching right now.
Yeah, I would imagine I have them not that far apart. 37 versus 39. So I'd rather have Framber, but it's not a big difference.
All right, so I guess that is a bad trade. No, it's not that bad. It's pretty close. This one's from Jay Lavigna, 9. Andrew Vaughn, Jared Kelnick, Vidal Brujan, Jeff McNeil, AJ Pollock, Austin Riley, pick 2. Does not say what format.
I would go Vaughn and McNeil for safety, Kelnick for upside, because it does sound like Kelnick could be back very soon.
I would go Kelnick and I think Austin Riley, but it's pretty close. Let's see. What do we got? This one's from Steven. Drafted Kershaw, Flaherty, Glasnow, and Savale. Do I drop any and for whom? And so I actually have in our podcast points league that I share with Adam Azer, we have only 3 IL spots, which is something I have to rectify in the offseason because that's not enough. And we have Aaron Savale, we have Tyler Glasnow, we have Chris Sale, we have Jack Flaherty. And I've managed to hold on to all of them, but it's getting tougher.
Yeah, for this one, I think Glasnow is probably the guy you have to drop. He seems like the longest odds to come back. And, certainly I think the timetable is probably longest for him too.
And who could you drop him for? That's obviously depends on who's available, but some of the most added starting pitchers right now on CBS, Logan Gilbert, he's all the way up to 83% rostered. Tristan McKenzie, someone we spoke about, pretty interesting, had an awesome start last Friday, 37% rostered there. Jameson Tyon's up to 73%. Chris, not as big of a fan on him. Jake Odorizzi up to 73%. Anybody else? Nah, all these guys.
Tarek Skubal 75%. I think he'd be worth adding. Yeah, that's my addition.
All right. Who else we got? I have Gary Sanchez and Buster Posey in a head-to-head categories league. I want to trade one for a starting pitcher. What kind of pitchers could I obtain?
Well, let's check out the old trade values chart and see.
I think Buster Posey might be back to start the second half too, because Joey Bart was sent back to AAA. Unfortunately, he played well in the couple of games that he got to play.
So I have Sanchez in the same range as Sonny Gray, Zach Greinke, Max Fried in the trade values chart.
So a top 35-ish starting pitcher.
Yeah, I think that's what you would be looking for. Posey's a little lower, and he's more in the Paddock Gallon range. If you could get Gallon, that would be an interesting one, just because he is coming back from that injury, and his perceived value might be a lot lower. There's a lot of risk there as well, though.
This one's from Carl. I lost Acuna, so I went out and I got Randy Arozarena, which, Chris, you actually said to do on the podcast, and traded Brian Hayes to get him. Great to trade. I hated to give up Hayes, but I hope Arozarena turns it up in the second half.
I think it's fair. I think they're both better in Roto. I don't know. I've been a little lower on Hayes than the other 2 guys on the podcast, Frank and Scott. So I don't know what they would think. So I think it's fair.
Yeah, Brian Hayes has been a disappointment recently in the past month or so. I still do really like the skill set. I think he's going to be a fine player, but for a redraft league, I think Arozarena probably has more upside. So I'm all right with that trade. This was from Andrew, Luis Robert, or Eloy Jimenez going forward. Both are free agents in my league.
I think you got to go with the guy who's closer to coming back, which is Eloy.
That is
Robert's the better player for fantasy, but he's further away.
Who is better, Adolis Garcia or Mitch Haniger?
Adolis.
Yeah, he has slowed down quite a bit.
Yes.
I was looking at this earlier. I think since the start of June, he's got something like a mid 700s OPS, but I think you said something similar about Mitch Haniger, right?
Yeah,
so
that's better than Haniger has.
Yeah, and I think Garcia is he has more power speed combination, at least what we've seen from him so far this season. So
yeah, 748 OPS, but still a 28 homer, 10 steal pace since the start of June.
All right. A lot of people were asking for you to show your cat off, Chris. David Bowie's right there. She's chilling. Oh my God. Hey there. Oh man. We're getting.
Oh God, it's turning.
Yep. And she's got a wire on the leg. Yeah, I thought you were going down for sure there.
There's only so much you can do to annoy them before it turns on you.
This one's from Derek. Zach Thompson or James Karinchak, 10-team points league.
Probably Thompson.
I think Karinchak is the closer now for Cleveland. Emmanuel Clase has struggled the past couple of outings or whatever.
Yeah, I would look at it this way. In a 10-team league, it's not going to be hard to find a closer. Thompson as a sparp does potentially have more upside if he hits than Karinchak.
From Must Be Trouble, would you guys add Frankie Montas or Patrick Corbin in a head-to-head quality starts and losses?
I still would rather have Montas.
That one is close. Corbin has pitched better-ish. I think Montas's upside is probably higher. I would go with him. This one's from Mitchell. Who would you rather have rest of season, Charlie Morton or Luis Garcia? It's definitely Morton for me.
Charlie Morton.
Yeah. We talk a lot about inning limits. I wouldn't be surprised if Luis Garcia is kind of held back at some point. And they have a lot of depth, so maybe they kind of swap him around with Christian Javier in the bullpen at some point. So I think that is a possibility to happen. This one's from Josh Anderson. Grade the trade. Got Charlie Morton for Trevor Rogers due to Rogers being.
Oh man,
season.
I'm feeling better about my pick. Sorry.
What just happened?
I just saw a batting practice clip of Shohei Ohtani. I believe he hit it out of the stadium. If not, it's right up at the top of the right field grandstand.
Oh man, yeah, he's gonna be awesome. Like, please just give us Ohtani versus Gallo in the finals. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I hope we get the full Ohtani experience this week. That would be so good for baseball. Just like wins the home run derby, hits a leadoff home run in the All-Star game, strikes out the side. Like, let's get the whole thing.
Yeah, and then I hope he gives a whole interview in English right afterwards. And,
yes,
makes
100%.
Stephen A. Smith look like an idiot.
Well, doesn't need a lot of help.
This one, smash the like button. We'll answer a couple more questions. We'll stay here for like 2 more minutes and do like a rapid fire. This one's from Fortune. Hey guys, love the show. I can only keep one from the following: Savale, Gilbert, and McClanahan. Who should I keep? It's so close between McClanahan and Gilbert.
If Savale was healthy, he'd be the highest ranked for me rest of season. I guess you're talking about next season. I think I would probably go Gilbert just because he's not on the Rays, and you never know what being on the Rays means for your value in the long term.
I would take McClanahan for the upside, but man, that is close. From William E. Has Frank ever won a league? Of course I have. I think. Let's see what else we got here.
Just to be clear, even if you hadn't, and I'm sure you have, would not be relevant to whether you're a good analyst. They are different skill sets. This is one of my hot takes that I fight with people on fantasy baseball Twitter about.
Oh, I've seen this one's from Anthony. Is Alek Manoah going to have his innings limited? I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I think it's probably more likely than not, but I haven't seen anything specific about it.
This one's from Andrew. Blake Snell or Castillo rest of season? Castillo by a mile.
Yeah, he's 30 or 40 spots higher in the rankings for me at this point than Blake Snell. I think Blake Snell might be outside of my top 50. This
one's from Daniel Schneider, not Daniel Schneier. I traded Trevor Rogers for Garrett Cole. Trade went through day of his complete game. Wow. Give yourself a pat on the back. That is
incredible. Yeah, amazing.
Could I get Cody Bellinger for Carlos Rodon?
I think you definitely could.
I think so.
I'm not sure. I think I would rather have Bellinger, but it would make me a little queasy for sure.
Pick 2. Rest of season: Logan Gilbert, Luis Garcia, Framber Valdez, Chris Sale.
I would imagine I have them ranked Framber, Garcia, Sale, Gilbert.
Sale he's still kind of hard to rank just because we don't know exactly what his timeline is. It sounds like it's going to be early August that he returns to Boston. And I think even his first couple of starts back, he could be kind of limited, maybe 4 or 5 innings, something like that. I think I would go with Framber Valdez and Logan Gilbert, but I like Garcia. I have a feeling that they're going to switch him to at some point. Anything else here? Casey Mize or Tarek Skubal in a points league? Definitely Skubal, right?
100%. Yeah.
100%. Montas or Freed in a points league. I'll take Freed there.
Freed.
And there was one more. I saw that I was going to drop Ross, Caprillion, McClanahan, or Webb for McKenzie. Well, Joe hurt.
Yeah, Joe Ross. With
but
the
Logan
injury.
Webb is like, I don't know. Logan Webb is not much anyway. So
I think it's like, I'm not sure McKenzie's a must add out of that group anyway. But, if you want to, I would drop Ross.
All right, everybody, enjoy the home run derby. We're going to be back either 10:30, 11 p.m. later on tonight. I'll tweet out a link, but we will be back with a normal podcast tonight. We are going to be doing the all bust team from the first half of the fantasy baseball season and whether or not those players are going to bounce back in the second half. For Chris, I am Frank. Thank you all for listening and watching Fantasy Baseball today. We'll be back in later. Bye-bye.